Imagine standing before a mirror that doesn't reflect your face, but everything you've hidden. Anger softening into courage, desire ripening into creative longing, shame quietly calling you back to yourself. In that instant, the real question is no longer, how do I conquer the world, but do I dare become a whole human being? Jung would remind us, the path of inner maturity doesn't chase outer power. It returns us to the center where shadow and light meet, in a deeper I is reborn. Hear these words like a postcard from the depths. No preaching, no scare tactics. Just a firm, gentle invitation. The energy you often call sex drive is in truth libido, psychic life force shaping how you love, create value, and choose to live each day. Here's a liberating truth strong enough to quiet the noise in your head. You don't have to eliminate sexuality to live with dignity. You have to become conscious of it. When that energy is murky, it drags you around. When it's seen, named, and supported, it becomes lucid fuel. In Jung's language, sublimation isn't repression until you explode. It's redirecting the current into deeper channels, creative work, responsible love, commitment to what matters. And yes, Jung's libido isn't only sex, it's the living current of the whole psyche. Misunderstand it, and you'll yo-yo between quick gratification and rigid taboo, both starve the soul. What we need is consciousness, a slow lamp lowered into the depths, asking, what is this energy actually seeking through me? In a fast optimizing American culture where jobs, bodies, habits, even spirituality get maximized, sexuality is often pulled to two poles, a product to consume or a forbidden zone. Jung would offer a third way treated as a symbol, a multi-layered message. Biologically, it's life rhythm. Psychologically, it's drive toward meaning. Spiritually, it's the wish to unite with something larger than ego. When you get trapped in the loop of stimulate, release, emptiness, you don't just lose a few hours of focus, you lose the bridge between conscious and unconscious. What Jung called the transcendent function, the crossing where creative solutions often appear. Let's be plain, no one wakes up by slogan. Change begins with concrete questions. What lights my fuse? When the surge rises, what do I actually crave? Comfort, aliveness, or escape from an old grief? If I retarget that energy for 15-30 minutes, write a page, lift something heavy, make the hard phone call, what do I learn about myself? This isn't cold self-discipline, it's the art of dialogue with your own energy. You don't need to be a saint. You need to slow down enough to listen, be brave enough to choose, and steady enough to repeat. And Jung wouldn't dodge this either, the shadow. Any plan for self-mastery that refuses the shadow is a suspension bridge with no pillars. Shadow is the storehouse of what you exiled, unpermitted. Anger, fear of being abandoned, unnamed desires. When you only white-knuckle it, the shadow swells and bursts out sideways. Obsession, blow-ups, self-sabotage. Integration brings back the gold, healthy limits, vitality, truth. So instead of declaring, from today I cut off sexuality, try a humbler vow. From today I sit down and talk with it. A solid self isn't born from endless civil war. It's born from a new relationship with the forces of life inside you. This relationship isn't only in your head. It runs through anima/animus, the inner feminine and masculine you carry into every encounter. When eros in you is twisted, you demand from others what should awaken within reassurance, a feeling of enough, a purpose to live by. When eros is supported, you loosen your grip and learn presence, seeing the other as they are. From here, sexuality stops being a tool of conquest and becomes the language of a real meeting. That's freedom. You stop using energy to manipulate and start using it to be present. How do I start without falling into extremes, neither indulgence nor suppression? Treat this opening as practical initiation. Redefine libido as psychic energy. Eros is the capacity for meaningful connection. Observe for 7 days when the surge rises. Am I tired, sad, bored, or lonely? Record it without judgment. Retarget each wave into a personal act, a paragraph, a melody, a workout, a difficult call. Dialogue for 10 minutes of active imagination, eyes closed. Name the energy as a figure. Ask what it wants for you, not from you. The answers may surprise you, because we love the concrete. The next section gives measurable frames, sleep rhythm, deep work, blocks, baseline motivation, emotional clarity. I won't promise to bend reality or make anyone bow to you. I'll promise this: when energy is placed in meaningful commitments, your presence changes. Your voice settles not from trickery, but because you persuade less. Your gaze steadies not from tactics, but because you hide less. People feel that coherence not as magic field, but as trustworthiness. One more compass point. Ethics. Influence isn't manipulation. We'll trace the soft border between healthy magnetism, born of self-respect, responsibility, and kindness in covert tactics that make others lose themselves. Jung's direction isn't power for its own sake. It's wholeness. When you aim libido at what matters, the world doesn't submit, it responds. The right people draw near the fitting opportunities, open the wrong doors, close. That's the grace of harmony, not the ego's victory. If you've come this far, maybe one clear question is ringing. Am I willing to live differently for the next 24 hours? Just 24 hours to observe, name, retarget, and dialogue. You don't have to believe me. You only have to listen to yourself. In the next part, we'll chart a concrete map, the archetypes that awaken or distort Eros. How the shadow asks for a seat at the table, a 5-minute evening ritual simple enough to start tonight, and a 30-day compass to track progress without turning your inner life into a competition. Consider this your invitation, light as a hand on the shoulder, clear as a bell. It's time to stop waging war on yourself and begin a new relationship with the life force that animates you. We'll meet again just beyond this doorway where the first map unfolds the archetypal landscape of Eros and the way it whispers or shouts through your everyday choices. Place your hand on your chest and take a slow breath. Feel that warm current under the breastbone, like the body is speaking an older language than thought. In Jung's vocabulary, that current has a name: libido, not just sexual desire, but the psychic energy that nourishes your whole inner life. When it's foggy, we chase quick stimulation. When we bring it to consciousness, it becomes vitality, creativity, the capacity to connect and choose meaningfully. This isn't a war between repress and indulge. It's the art of transformation, directing the life stream toward channels that honor your dignity. If you're a busy American professional, wired for optimization KPIs and discipline hacks, set the formulas down for a moment. We'll talk less about control and more about your relationship with this energy: respectful, awake, bounded, purposeful. Let's define terms so nothing stays vague. In Jung's sense, libido is the urge toward life. It can surface as curiosity, a drive to create, a longing for closeness, the need to be seen and to give. Sublimation isn't press it down until it vanishes. It's rerouting energy into symbols, work art, or service containers big enough to hold it. Picture an inner river dam. It and you get underground floods. Destroy its banks and you get a swamp. Build banks that guide the flow and you irrigate a field. Reduce sexuality to discharge versus denial and you lose the map. Treat it as a symbol, a layered message, and you gain choices worthy of an adult. A small story. Alex, a New York creative, grinds through stacked projects. Most nights around 11 p.m. exhausted, he scrolls to numb the hollow touches. Stretching past 1 a.m. morning brings self-blame and caffeine for him. By afternoon, the loop reloads. One night, he doesn't ban anything, he dialogues. When the wave rises, he sets a 15-minute timer and writes uncensored, "What does this want from me?" The answer appears to feel alive and seen. That night, he redirects the wave into a draft he's feared starting. 30 minutes later, the sea is calm. No miracle. A week on the draft has bones. Alex didn't beat desire. He befriended the life stream and gave it something meaningful to feed. You can do the same tonight. Here's the part 1 practice expanded. Pause 1 min, hand to chest, 10 slow breaths, whisper, "I'm safe to feel." Name 2 min, label the energy, precisely craving closeness, escape from fatigue, fear of boredom. Rechannel 15-30 min, 1 meaningful act. Write 200 words, lift hard for 15 minutes. Reset a creative corner, call to mend a misunderstanding. Close 1 min, 1 sentence of thanks for staying without self-judgment. This isn't a willpower trick. It's learning to walk with the energy, inviting it to serve something better without denying your biology or feelings. To keep it honest, add a gentle 7-day measure each night. Rate 0 to 10 on 4 axes: sleep, deep, focus, creativity, emotional steadiness. Jot a few lines. The wave rose when I rechanneled by, I learned that. After 7 days, you don't have to win anything. You only have to see the patterns. That's the threshold of the transcendent function, the bridge between conscious and unconscious, where new options are born. If you spot signs of repression, muscle tension, obsession, sudden blow-ups, soften the pace. Add body care and sleep, and seek therapy if needed. The ethic here is simple kindness toward yourself. There's another indispensable layer, the shadow. Any attempt at self-mastery that doesn't invite shadow to the table won't hold. The shadow stores what was shame, desire, anger, weakness, ambition. Push it down and it returns by back roads. Integrate it and it pays you in gold. Clean boundaries. Vitality. A truth that doesn't need to shout. A gentle, deep tool is active imagination. Close your eyes and let the drive appear as a character, a restless boy, a light-seeking girl. Ask, what do you want from me? Listen, then write. Many people feel they hear for the first time a voice from the deeper aquifer of the soul. No need for esoteric belief, just an honest experiment. You'll notice a very earthly result when energy is placed where it means something. Your presence changes. The voice stops hustling to persuade. The eyes stop darting to escape. The body stops demanding instant proof because it has tasted a meaning. People feel safer around you not because of a mystical field, but because your inner needs and outer life are coming into alignment. Try a concrete 3 by 90-second reset. 90 seconds of slow breathing, longer exhale, 90 seconds reading a paragraph aloud with small pauses, 90 seconds standing tall, feet sensing the ground, gaze steady. Not to become magnetic, simply to arrive. Add one more skill, somatic widening. Before important conversations, one hand on chest, one on belly, inhale and hold 4, exhale 6, 3 rounds. You're teaching your nervous system that stillness isn't abandonment and steadiness isn't boredom. As the body lets go of fireworks, the heart recognizes the oil lamp that actually warms the house. From there, you'll better tell true red flags, disrespect, violence, manipulation from your own fear of healthy intimacy. Now the relationship field. Alex, 32. Creative meets Jamie at a book launch. Sparks late-night texts, inspired talk, attention, pouring like summer rain. Alex projects perfect attunement, an idealized image of his own unwelcomed eros onto Jamie. Jamie projects rescuer of loneliness, a sturdy logos to brace the swirl onto Alex. Week 1 feels faded. Weeks later, as persona dims, shadow whispers. Alex fears quiet and unconsciously makes waves to feel alive. Jamie, boundary shy, goes cool. Neither is wrong. They're steering each other with unnamed parts. Here's the principle underneath anima, animus. Whatever your gender you carry, inner eros, anima, and inner logos, animus. When anima is eclipsed, you harden and lose the heart softening. When animus is fractured, you drift, lack structure, and can't say no. At first, Alex and Jamie's anima animus lock like two missing pieces, seeking wholeness, easy to project the lost piece onto the other. When the projection falls, the human remains limits in all, and disappointment arrives. No one deceived anyone. The movie ended, and the eyes need time to adjust to real light. In daily life, this dynamic shows up outside romance too. Monday morning in a glass-walled room in Austin, you say plainly, "I'm not clear on the baseline data for this decision." No attack, no flourish. The field shifts. Someone laughs too loudly, someone defends, one gets eager, another avoids your eyes. On the surface, nothing. Underneath, projections leap to life, fears of being wrong, exposed, abandoned, try to pin their usual mask on you. Jung called this archetypal tension. You're simply standing in a temenos, a sacred inner space where truth is calm enough to loosen a few masks. They're not reacting to you. They're reacting to the image of themselves they just glimpsed. When that happens, practice gentle truth, kindness with a hinge. I'm listening and want to get this right. I need a slower pace to find my words. It isn't distance. Or, this connection matters to me and my rhythm is slow. If that fits, let's continue. If not, I'll honor the difference. One breath lines like these are soft boundaries. They don't push people out. They show your temenos has a door and hinges. What helps the body-mind stand in truth without raising your voice? Rhythm, not ritual. Each evening, split a notebook page. What did I show today and what did I hide today? 3 lines each, no praise or blame. Wednesday morning before email, 5 minutes of active imagination with a dream image, a deer, a room, a child. Ask, what did you come to say? Write it verbatim, honor it with one small act, call the friend you've avoided, decline the task you don't want, sip water, and take 3 slow breaths. Before the noon meeting, hands on a wall press through 4 breaths, release for 6 somatic doorway from tension into presence. Sunday night, sketch a simple round mandala, not for beauty, but to witness how light and shadow divided your week. Small, steady gestures slowly weave that quiet, weighty quality in you. If you recognize yourself here, drop the self-judgment. Tonight, close your eyes and invite the first figure tied to your hunger, a fierce maiden, a tired mother, a queen hiding her crown. Ask 3 questions. What are you protecting me from? What boundary must I learn now? If I weren't afraid of judgment, what do I truly long for? Write without editing. Don't try to be right, try to be true. This is active imagination, a bridge between unconscious and conscious. And across that bridge stands the self, the force that gives your life inner order and meaning. Before we close, a few tight vignettes. Zoe, ending in 0, holds a calm pocket when rooms spin presence over performance. Mark, ending in 4 lives, by checklists until change makes him clamp down. Learning that 4 must breathe, he drops 1 item a day and produces more. Elena, ending in 9, changes careers 3 times, not instability, but the art of completion. If none of these fit you, good. Symbols aren't molds. They're invitations to author your own story. And yes, numbers can have quality, not only quantity. In Jung's symbolic tradition, think of 0 as a mandala-centered wholeness and 4 as a quaternity. 4 directions, seasons, and functions: sensation, intuition, thinking, feeling. Treat numbers as living images, and they become a soft background. Music helping you hear your own voice in a noisy America. Why the last digit of your birth year? Our culture runs on base 10. Each decade closes a loop. The final note carries a mood of completion, and hand off a threshold the symbolic mind loves to read. Not fate, just a lens. Does any of that echo in you? We don't walk alone. In the comments, share this template. I'm a number X. The light I noticed today was, the shadow I'm training is, the small step I'll take tomorrow is, reply to each other with respect and curiosity. No diagnoses, no sermons. Symbols blossom when lived, not debated. If this slowed your heart by half a beat, enough to hear yourself, stay for the next chapter. We'll move from the map into a concrete image, beginning with 0. The silent circle where opposites are held, not erased, and give you 1 light to follow, 1 shadow to train, and 1 small action you can take today. Inhale, exhale. We step into 0. Step with me through an inner doorway into your own council room. Around a round table sits Eros, the life drive toward meaning, speaking in several ancient dialects. Jung called them archetypes: the lover, the warrior, huntress, the alchemist, and the king, and queen. Each carries light and shadow. Each can clarify your energy or drain it in loops. If part 1 helped you feel libido's warm current and rechannel it gently, part 2 is the subtler map. Who in you is speaking? What does it want, and what does it need to mature? When the lover speaks, your body softens. Beauty opens your eyes. An old song touches the heart. In the light, the lover teaches presence. Taste an apple, slowly listen to someone to the end. Do 1 thing with your whole body mind. In shadow, the lover becomes the pleaser. You say yes when you mean no, chasing proof. You're lovable through easy moments that leave you empty. Dreams often flag this: parties that never end, rooms of infinite mirrors, or a face that never truly meets yours. A tiny practice before you agree. Take 1 breath and ask, am I here by choice or fear of loss? If it's fear, delay your answer 1 night. The lover will stay. It's the fear of abandonment that rushes. When the warrior/huntress speaks, your spine lifts and hard things become possible. In the light, this archetype teaches boundaries. Say no to protect the truest yes. Focus power like a single arrow instead of scattering shots. Its shadow as the armor work becomes an endless campaign. Feelings are in the way. Vulnerability is mocked. Watch for a tight body, poor sleep, and cold sentences that push people away. Practice hand on belly. Exhale longer than you inhale, then write a kind, no, I can't do this today, but I can. When a boundary is kept with kindness, the warrior becomes an ally, not a tyrant. The alchemist appears in between world moments, just after a dream, staring at a blank page. In the light, it bridges conscious and unconscious, bringing images, metaphors, and solutions your rational mind missed. Its shadow is the silent sorcerer, knowing much but saying little, reading others' feelings and subtly steering them, using silence as a wall. Dream signals long corridors, symbols you can read but refuse to pronounce. Practice pick a symbol that just arrived, a bird, a bridge, a flower, and give it 10 minutes of active imagination. Write down its words verbatim, no analysis yet. Let the living thing speak first. Finally, the king or queen archetype of inner order, responsibility, and dignity. In the light, the sovereign puts every part of you in place. What does this task serve? What does that relationship need for safety? How will tomorrow open? In shadow, the throne becomes the throne you try to control. Everything. Love your role more than truth. Equate others' agreement with your worth. Signals meetings where you talk more than listen. Plans so tight they squeeze the life out. Nightly question. What did I use power for today? If the answer is to feel safe, return a little power to process, delegate, ask for feedback, or simply admit I'm not sure. You'll notice these four voices trade places all day. The point isn't to choose sides, it's to learn the music of coordination. Use a simple weekly map each evening. Mark which archetype led your biggest decision and jot one line, its light and its shadow. After 7 days, you'll see overfed parts and starving parts. The lover may overflow at parties but starve at a quiet dinner with family. The warrior may overflow in email but starve when guarding your sleep. The alchemist may boom with ideas but starve in the courage to speak. The sovereign may overflow in process but starve in trust for improvisation. Seeing the pattern is the start of retuning. One red thread from part 1 to honor transformation versus repression. Repression makes energy contract. Transformation makes energy migrate out of stimulation loops and into fruitful fields. Warning lights: you've slipped into repression, a rigid body, violent dreams, black and white thinking, thick shame. When they flash, lower the bar and return to gentler practice. 10 breaths, 1 kindness no, 200. Honest words, a 10-minute walk, 1 sincere call. Jung's reminder: the soul doesn't grow by command but by rhythm. Respecting rhythm is a form of ethics. Another central knot: anima/animus, inner feminine, masculine images. Many surges that feel so present are old silhouettes. You're magnetized not because the person fits, but because they match an image you haven't digested. Savior controller, the cool one, the vanisher. Try a short deprojection letter to that inner image: I see you in me. I will meet the person in front of me is themselves. You're not abandoning Eros. You're returning Eros to the real relationship between two humans. 1. A gentle and clear measurement frame. Try 7 notes for 7 days. Each day, pick one surge moment and write 4 lines. 1. Which archetype led me? It's light and shadow here. 3. What channel shift action did I take for? What part of me got care? And at week's end, you'll see the footpaths, and like every American road, footpaths can be replanned. A word about ethics and community. Transforming energy isn't about being above others. It's about becoming trustworthy to yourself first. If this opens something soft and strong in you, step out of isolation. In the comments, post 1 short line. Today, the archetype leading me was, or I'll nourish my lover, warrior, alchemist, sovereign by doing. You might share a small dream image, a color, a sentence, because it could be the key someone else needs. We don't advise one another. We bear witness that the road is real. Before we close, take 1 long breath. This isn't the promise to bend reality, but the art of inner orchestration, so outer life starts answering differently. In part 3, we'll anchor a nightly 5-minute ritual, a harbor where the lover is seen, the warrior rests, the alchemist speaks, and the sovereign lays a hand on every part and soothes. Tomorrow we continue. I'll also share a 30-day map so you don't just keep inspiration's flame, you give progress, a gentle structure, how to log dreams, dialogue with symbols, track sleep and focus, and set kind boundaries. If you're ready, we'll walk on unhurried, non-judgmental, like people relearning the language of the soul. Imagine evening as a quiet harbor after a long day. The city still hums, but inside you there's a still surface of water waiting for the boat to come home. Part 3 is the anchor we drop there, a 5-minute ritual that's light enough to do tonight and deep enough to touch the unconscious that's been whispering all day. If part one helped you feel libido as the warm current of life, and part two opened the council room of archetypes, now we seat everyone at the same table, light a small candle, and sign a new pact between body, mind, and soul. Don't call this a hack. Call it the art of staying with yourself until your energy stops tug of war and begins to serve. Before we start, give yourself permission to be simple. You don't need a perfect meditation room, just a quiet corner, a candle or warm lamp, one page of paper, and 5 uninterrupted minutes. In Jung's language, ritual is the container for energy, a form that makes psychological content bearable, so we don't get flung to the extremes of indulgence or repression. When the form is gentle, the content can tell the truth. Now into the ritual. First, light the candle and place a hand on your chest. Exhale a little longer than you inhale for a few cycles, as if you were smoothing small waves to see the bottom. Say one plain sentence, not fancy. Tonight, I'm willing to see what I usually avoid. It's not a spell. It's a tender commitment to truth, and that commitment already begins the change. Next, name one moment from today when your energy flared a photo you scrolled past, a hollow feeling, an unfinished conversation. Don't analyze. Write just one word that fits desire: sad, lonely, angry, abandoned. When the word is right, the body often breathes easier. That's your sign you found the name. Here's my favorite part. Ask the golden question. If this feeling impulse is trying to do something good for me, what is it? This is the pivot from resistance to dialogue. In Jung's depth, every impulse carries a life intention, however clumsy its surface. Maybe it wants to feel alive, to be touched, to be less alone, to begin the hard thing. You're not promising to obey, only to hear the message. Being heard releases most of the pressure. Energy that used to rush outward for quick relief turns inward, asking for a more meaningful path. What did yours ask for? Next, invite one archetype to be tomorrow's ally, who lacked a seat at the table today. The lover, deeper presence; the warrior, tender boundaries; the alchemist, 10 minutes of dialogue with a symbol; the king, queen, a clean decision. Choose a name, then write one small specific act you can do within 24 hours. Lover, eat lunch without a screen and truly taste one favorite food. Warrior, decline one request and offer a kind alternative. Alchemist, 10 minutes of active imagination with that staircase from my dream. King, queen, protect one deep work block on the calendar without apologizing. A small action on the schedule wakes the archetype in a healthy way. No bravado, no overload. Which ally will you call tomorrow? To close, dip a fingertip in a small bowl of water, or simply touch the rim of your cup as if touching the river inside you and whisper, "Thank you for staying." Maybe you smile, maybe you feel nothing. That's okay. Jung would say you've placed psychic content into symbolic form, and the form will work quietly through the night. Real transformation has its own tempo, keener than any ego's urgency. So this isn't just nice vibes. Here's the promised extension from part one. The sim frame stop, illuminate, move, woven into your night practice. Stop 10 breaths, hand to chest, signaling safety to your nervous system. Illuminate, write one true word for the feeling wash impulse. Ask the golden question, bring unconscious content into the realm of language. Move within 15 to 30 minutes. Tomorrow, take one channel shift that honors your values. Right, move your body. Repair a conversation, tackle the hard task. Repeat for 7 nights, and your contours appear recurring triggers and actions that truly soothe which archetype needs feeding. Don't aim for perfect, aim for gentle consistency. Run a simple 7-day tracker alongside it with 4 soft axes. Sleep deep, focus, creativity, emotional steadiness. Rate each 0 to 10 and add one line, what I learned today. At week's end, read it like a letter from you to you. You'll notice some nights the ritual did nothing yet. Emotional steadiness ticked up. Some days you redirected a wave into 200 words and deep focus rose. This isn't self-control, it's working with yourself. What did your chart whisper back? Because Jung never leaves dreams behind. Add one detail to the ritual. Keep a pen by the bed. On waking, jot any scraps, a color, a sentence, a strange object. Don't decode, just collect. In the afternoon, choose one fragment and invite the alchemist for a 10-minute dialogue. Let the symbol speak its language. Don't rush to interpret. A bridge appears, a door opens a murky pond, Clear's images like these often guide your hand to the exact thread to pull that day. Over time, night ritual and day imagination become two lungs of the same breath. Name the boundary between transformation and suppression so you can protect yourself. If after a few days you're tight in the body, dreams turn violent, thinking goes black and white, shame thickens, self-contempt spikes, that's not weakness. That's the river being forced through a pipe. Loosen the tempo. Lower expectations, raise body care, sleep warm, eat warm, move gently, and if you can share with a trusted friend or a therapist. The ethic here is compassion first for you, then for others. No true change grows from self-hatred. How do I keep this beyond 7 days in a busy American life? Enter the 30-day map. 4 small weeks. Week 1, attention hygiene, reduce overstimulation and log your triggers. Week 2, the redirection stack. Prepare 3 ready channels. Writing movement. 1, difficult project. Week 3, invite the shadow to talk, 2 active imagination sessions, and 1 deep projection letter with animus/animus. Week 4, integrate in relationship practice, 3 kind no's, 1 honest conversation, and 1 responsible decision in king/queen style. Keep the 5-minute ritual as the red thread through it all. 1 tiny goal per week measured by those 4 gentle axes. You have nothing to prove to anyone. Just keep 1 small promise to yourself each night. I'd love you to link arms with others on this path. In the comments, if you feel safe, write, "Tonight my ritual was," or "This morning my symbol whispered." Reply to each other with uplift, not lectures. We don't need more tips, we need witnesses. If you're private, leave only a symbol, bridge, river kitchen, lamp, and we'll understand. If you want weekly cadence, subscribe so we can keep rhythm, not to hoard tricks, but to nourish a small, steady habit. Sit down, light a candle, name what's true, and listen. From here, the road leads to a tender territory. Many avoid the ethics of influence and inner power. As your energy steadies, your influence will naturally rise. That's when you need a clear charter, influence in service of which lines you won't cross, which truths must be spoken. Next, we'll place a hand on the soul's little constitution. 3 principles for responsible use of energy. 3 situations where influence slides into manipulation, and how the king/queen keeps a soft heart while the hands stay steady. If this gave you a gentler night, come with me. The small candle you just lit is the signal to your depths that you're ready not to conquer anyone, but to be trustworthy with yourself. We'll meet at the next door, where small promises become living architecture and where power stops being a chase and becomes a quiet answer to what matters most. Let me call this section the small charter of the soul, not a dry code of conduct, but a quiet promise you make with the power within you. When your energy becomes consistent, your natural influence grows. People listen longer, chances find you, but eye contact lingers. This is exactly where many slip from healthy influence into manipulation, from presence into performance, from inner power into controlling others. The authentic Jungian thread leads us back to one aim, not conquest, but wholeness. The alignment of what you believe, what you do, and how you treat life. Here, ethics isn't a chain. It's the track that carries your energy toward meaning. Place a hand on your chest like in our evening practice. With 1 gentle touch, you remember power isn't noise. It's the quiet congruence between within and without. From that touch, we write the charter. Principle 1. Influence has value only when it serves life, yours, the others, in the small community, placing trust in you. If your words make you bigger while the other shrinks, that's not influence, it's possession. Principle 2. Honor freedom. Doors forced open by pressure close later with resentment. Only doors open from inside lead to rooms of trust. Principle 3. Tender honesty. Truth doesn't need to shout, it needs a shoulder. Say the hard thing with a soft voice and let silence do the rest. Watch the everyday moments where we slip off the rails. When you're in a hurry, a hot email, a promising deal, a magnetic person, urgency is fertile ground for manipulation. Add 1 breath, 1 night of sleep, 1 sentence, I'll respond in 24 hours. When your ego is stroked, praised, invited, lifted, healthy pride can inflate into infallibility the minute you stop receiving feedback. Keep a humble walk, ask 1 trusted person, "What could I do better today?" When you fear loss of opportunity of a person of an image, fear swaps an open hand for a rope. Come back to two words: boundaries. Keep what's yours, return what's theirs, and let the empty space breathe. Archetypal lenses make this practical. When the lover leads, influence is presence. Manipulation begins when the lover becomes the pleaser, placing self-worth on the scale of someone else's reaction. Antidote: honest need. I want closeness because I value you, not to erase my emptiness. When the warrior/huntress leads, influence is clear boundaries. Manipulation begins when the warrior armors up and uses another's fear as leverage. Antidote: kind refusal. I can't, and here's what I can. When the alchemist leads, influence is symbolic language that helps others contact their depths. Manipulation appears when silence turns into a power secret. Antidote: transparency. This is my intuition. Please verify. When the king/queen leads, influence builds order. Manipulation knocks when the throne matters more than life. Antidote: responsibility. What does this decision serve? Who else needs to be heard? You asked for something your body can learn like sunlight, not just memorized by will. Try a 24-hour experiment called Voice Eyes Hand. Morning voice read a paragraph you love for 3 minutes, pausing briefly at key lines. Your voice will find a trustworthy, low register. Midday eyes in conversation hold a steady gaze for 3 beats before replying. You'll hear deeper and react less. Afternoon hand, put your hand in the right place. Firm handshake, hold the door, push the chair back. Bodies learn ethics through gestures. Not to look magnetic, but to teach your nervous system that influence begins with visible kindness. At night, write one moment when you could have used pressure but chose respect. You're training your system that safety doesn't live in control, it lives in consistency. If you've been doing the 5-minute evening right, this ethic clicks in like the last piece of a picture coming into view. You name a feeling, invite an archetype to accompany you and channel that energy into a meaningful act. This little charter becomes a soft fence around the garden. Flowers don't bloom because of the fence, but they feel safe enough to bloom. And when flowers bloom, you don't summon butterflies. They arrive. That's how influence works, not trumpets, fragrance. To keep it on the ground, take a 7-day vow. Each day, one line answering 3 questions. Today, what did I use my influence to serve? Today, whose freedom did I honor and how? Today, where did I tell the truth tenderly? If a day is blank, write blank and begin again tomorrow. Gentle persistence fits the rhythm of the soul better than any loud campaign. One more thread to tie this back to part 1, distinguish transformation from repression, not only to protect yourself, but to protect others. A repressed heart demands repayment. Its influence easily turns into leverage. A transforming heart asks, what does this impulse want from me? Then pours it into work, art, kinship, responsibility. When you return eros to real relationships between you and your craft, you and the person in front of you, you and what you serve, your influence remembers its true name, the spread of the authentic. From here, the next door opens naturally. Once your influence has rails, we can talk life architecture. How to weave tiny promises into long-term structure. A 30-day calendar soft enough not to snap, strong enough not to drift. Light checkpoints so you feel progress without self-judgment. One closing right at night and one opening right in the morning so energy can breathe. When the details settle, we'll end with a final invitation. Choose meaning over instant results, wholeness over short-term wins. If something in you is nodding, walk with me one more stretch. We don't need to be grand. We need to be faithful to what's true and let everything alive find its own way to bloom. Let the closing of this body section become a living architecture, not a house of brick, but a home you build with breath, small promises, and the way you steward your energy each day. If the earlier parts helped you feel the warm current of libido, as psychological energy, listen to the archetypes in your inner council room and sign a gentle charter for influence and ethics, then this is where we place the compass in your palm and walk a clear, kind 30-day road. Individuation isn't a KPI project. It's a homecoming, and every homecoming needs a humble path. Start from ground-level body emotion, meaning the 3 braided layers of energy. Biological consistent sleep, morning sunlight, warm water, and a little movement so your nervous system believes life is safe. Psychological, cut the sandstorm of microstimuli. Less doom scrolling, less comparison, fewer microdopamine hits that steal focus. Spiritual, where Jung always brings us back a reason to wake, what is worthy of your energy. When libido is unseen, it runs in circles to forget. When it's witnessed and given to what matters, it shifts from demanding to serving. You'll feel this most when we weave it into a month you can actually live. What right now is worthy of your next unit of attention? Week 1, clearing the harbor. Tidy your attention hygiene like you'd clear a kitchen before cooking a real meal. Put away extra notifications. Choose on-off hours for social media. Give your morning back to sunlight and breath. Keep the 5-minute evening right light, a candle name. Your feelings ask the golden question. Invite one archetype to accompany tomorrow and add one move. Set a door latch for the next day, a protected block for meaningful work without self-distraction. The paradox shows up fast. Leaving one open space teaches libido that freedom isn't excess. It's flow with banks. The body will tell you first sleep half a notch deeper. Shoulders loosen, eyes stop hunting for filler. What door latch will you set for tomorrow? Week 2. Changing the channel. Every incoming wave carries a rhythm. Instead of resisting or surrendering to it, invite it into a meaningful form. Maybe that's 200 words on a project you fear, 15 minutes of elevated heart rate, so the body hears its ancient drum, or a hard but honest call. Not every wave becomes music, but almost every wave stops wrecking the shore when it meets structure. Here, the lover learns presence without pleading. The warrior learns to say no without freezing. The alchemist learns to speak. The king, queen learns to schedule without choking life. Each night, track 4 gentle axes, sleep deep. Focus creativity, feeling not to grade yourself, but to notice the path bending toward health. Which axis asked for care today? Week 3. Shadow by anima/animus. This is the door many fear, the inner feminine, masculine figures we project onto partners and even onto work. Link your 5-minute right to a deeper practice, active imagination. Sit, breathe, call up an image from dream or day, a half-built bridge, a 2-doored room, a silent face, and let it speak. Write its words verbatim. Don't interpret too soon. Then write a short, deep projection note. I see your outline in me. I'll try to meet the person in front of me as they are. The moment you pull back a thread of projection, libido stops taking the long way home. Longings that once felt feral reveal themselves as calls to an exiled life part. Creativity, play, tenderness, courage. Decisions soften not because you are stronger, but because you're truer about motive. What image is asking to speak this week? Week 4. Weaving truth into relationship and duty. This week is full of small maneuvers that alter the blueprint. Set a kind boundary. Ask for unvarnished feedback. Delegate with trust. Choose one scary but right move. Influence stops being bait to pull someone your way. It becomes kitchen light warmth. Anyone who walks in feels welcomed. When you speak truth in a gentle tone, people don't feel forced. They feel seen. When you decline yet open another path, people don't feel dropped. They feel respected. When you keep a small nightly promise to yourself, you become someone you can lean on. That's the kind of power Jung would smile at, not power to win over others, but to be trustworthy. Which small maneuver will quietly change your architecture today? Tie it all to one compassionate measuring string. Keep a single page for the month, 1 row per day, 4 simple columns, plus a what I learned note. At week's end, don't judge. Read your life like a letter from a friend. You'll spot the patterns: low sleep and the lover turns pleaser. Skip no and the warrior reaches for armor. Swallowed intuition and the alchemist locks the mouth. Over control and the king and his queen turns the throne into a cage. You'll also see how tiny tweaks move mountains. 30 minutes earlier to bed, 1 screen-free meal, 1 brave call, 1 short walk. Libido doesn't need grand campaigns, it needs good banks. What tiny tweak actually moved you this week? Safety sign, not moralizing. Tell the difference between transformation and repression to stay whole. If your body stiffens, dreams turn violent, your mind goes black and white, and shame thickens, loosen your grip. Return to body sleep. Warm food, water, sunlight, steps. Return to relationship. Tell one small truth. Ask for ordinary help. Return to meaning. One act in service of something larger. Plant a tree help a person finish a lingering task. Libido is a river. You don't scold a river for wanting to run. Your work is to guide the flow. Where do you need to loosen your grip by 10% today? Because we don't go far alone. Leave a small cairn under, like this video, like a pebble atop a pass day of my month archetype. Guiding me as Kwaryuaman, or one small adjustment that changed me today was Uhem. You can even post a single symbol bridge kitchen light river and others will understand. If you're willing, share one lesson from the week, not to flex discipline, but to show the road is real and populated. What pebble will you place for the next traveler? On the last line of day 30, you won't become someone who bends reality. You'll become someone who answers reality with a low, steady voice. I'm here. I know what I serve. I can say no and yes without losing my heart. Others will feel it the way we feel a morning with just enough sun, unshowy but warm. And you'll notice the simplest strong truth: life doesn't submit, it responds. It opens doors that fit your new shape and closes the ones you no longer need. What response from life are you beginning to notice as you change shape? In the finale, we'll string the whole journey into a pocket mantra. You can carry one line for when energy surges, one line for when a boundary must hold, one line to whisper before sleep. We'll glance back at the traveler who started 30 days ago and the one standing here now. Not more perfect, but half a degree more whole. If you're ready to seal this with one new small promise, come with me a few minutes more. We'll take a deep breath, give thanks, and lay the first brick for the next month, because life, like every river, doesn't stop. It only asks to be guided well. Treat these final lines like a folded postcard from the road you've just traveled, a small stick of incense sent back to your own center. You've seen the warm current called libido as psychological energy. You've listened to the boardroom of archetypes. You've signed a gentle charter for influence and ethics. You've tried a 5-minute ritual to stay with truth instead of being dragged by impulse. Now, as the screen goes dark, what remains? Maybe just a steadier breath, a body sitting a little more rooted, and a small solemn will keep returning. Jung would call this a pact between consciousness and the unconscious, a fine thread to something larger than ego, where the shadow no longer needs to shout because it's been invited to the table. Carry 3 pocket-sized sentences like keys. When the surge rises, what is this feeling trying to do for me? A question that moves you from opposition to dialogue. When a boundary is needed, I can't do that, and here's what I can do. An answer that is honest and kind, so your inner warrior doesn't need heavy armor. Before sleep, thank you for staying with me today. A closing ritual that lets the inner alchemist keep working in the quiet. These aren't magic. They're a sturdy little bridge across slippery moments, and sometimes a small bridge changes the entire road. Which key will you use tonight? If you want a map for the next 24 hours, keep it simple and doable. Morning, 3 minutes of sunlight and breath, teach your body the world is safe. Midday, give yourself a screen-free meal. Let the lover be present. Afternoon, offer one kind no. Let the warrior keep the shoreline. Evening, light a candle and write one word that names your feeling. Give the alchemist a path to speak. Before bed, block a small window for tomorrow's meaningful task. Let the king-queen set a gentle frame. You don't need to prove anything. You only need one small promise. Enough small promises, side by side, become living architecture. What's your one small promise for tomorrow? One mark worth repeating. Learn the difference between transformation and repression, not just to protect yourself, but to protect others from distorted influence. Repression always demands payback. Transformation learns to serve. Repression makes your inner voice go rigid. Transformation makes it deepen. Repression forces you to choose black or white. Transformation teaches you to wait in the gray until an image appears. If you catch yourself turning harsh this week, loosen the tempo and return to the body. Sleep, warm, food, water, a walk. This path doesn't reward speed, it opens to the one who moves steadily. Where could you exchange speed for steadiness today? Keep one symbol to remember this video, like you'd remember a friend, a wooden bridge over running water. Each night you light a candle, you lay another plank. Each gently spoken truth, you set a nail. Each kind no you brush on a protective coat. No fireworks, just a bridge that grows sound. One morning you'll notice you are no longer stuck on the near bank of the same loop, not because the world surrendered, but because you learned to respond with life. The world simply answers the rhythm you're carrying. What plank will you add tonight? If you'd like to keep going, join a small community, learning the same language. Leave one honest line. My symbol this week is, or a kind no I will say is, or when energy surges my answer will be. You can share a dream fragment, a color and object, a line of dialogue. We don't rule each other with advice. We witness for each other that this road is real. And if this content lifted you even half a rung, subscribe not to hoard tips, but to get a weekly reminder that your center is still there and you're welcome to return. What one-line check-in will you post? Before you go, lay a hand on your chest and listen for 3 beats. Remember, influence isn't noise, it's the quiet consistency of someone who knows what they serve. Remember, Eros isn't a wild horse to break, it's a river you learn to channel through thirsty fields. Remember, the shadow isn't an enemy, it's a messenger waiting for its true name at the door. And remember, 5 minutes each night a candle, and 1 accurate word is already your honest work with the soul. Which messenger is knocking for you right now? If there's one sentence to carry for the month ahead, try, I choose integrity over short-term victory, meaning over instant gratification. This doesn't oppose joy, it gives joy a home, and when joy has a home, it lingers. When you're ready to close, take a long breath like folding a map into your pocket. Whenever you lose rhythm, open it 3 key sentences, a 5-minute ritual, 4 gentle pillars, then continue, not rush, not judgmental, with a fresh trust that whatever is alive knows how to bloom. Which pillar needs your attention tomorrow? Thank you for walking all the way here. If you wish, subscribe and turn on notifications so we can meet each week, each meeting, another plank on a growing bridge. And now, before the screen fades, write 1 single line in the comments. Tonight I will stay with this. Your line might be the small lamp someone needs to make it through the night. See you in the next video where we keep refining a living architecture and learn to use inner power not to dominate, but to tend what matters most. What will you stay with tonight?